her adorable adopted calves, Ruby and Jade. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 40,000 teachers and 1 million students every year get to enjoy the fun for free, thanks to our generous supporters like the Midwest Dairy Association and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. The Adopt a Cow and Discover Dairy programs are a free online resource that covers Common Core standards in math, reading, and science, all while using dairy concepts to teach those lessons. To access those resources, you can go to discoverdairy.com, and we'll go ahead and put it in the chat for you to have access to that link. We'd also love for you to join the Adopt a Cow Fund next year. So if you're interested in joining again, or you happen to just stumble upon this live chat and you're curious about what it's about, you can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, and there you'll be able to either log in and re-enroll or create an account and get started. You can start doing this as of May 1st. So just a few days away for re-enrollment to open up, or you can go ahead and get signed up and get started starting May 1st. Next, as everyone continues to join us live today, you'll see that chat feature is enabled. Please feel free to keep using that chat feature, comment, ask questions all throughout our time together. We do just ask that you keep those questions and comments related to our chat and school appropriate. We're very excited to hear your questions, and I know Farmer Jodi is excited to answer them. Now, before we jump over to Farmer Jodi, let's see who is joining us today. So let's jump over to that chat. Let's see, we have some homeschooler folks from Cairo, Nebraska. Hello, good afternoon, all. We've got Amber and a fifth grade class who's joining from DC West in Valley, Nebraska. Hello, all. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We have some folks who are super excited and adopted Ruby. So believe me, we're excited to check in on Ruby too. So we'll see her soon. We've got some third graders joining from Shelby, Nebraska, and I believe that is Mrs. Kubik's third grade class. So hello and welcome. We've got some kindergartners from Pleasanton, Nebraska. We have Miss Laloy's class, All City Elementary. And oh, so we're excited to have you. Thank you so much. And then we've got Miss Mansberg's first grade class in Bellwood. Hello, all. And one or two more here, Miss Wilcox's second grade class in Columbus, and Miss Westby's kindergarten class in South Dakota. We got some folks from South Dakota joining us today too. So hello, we're excited to have you all. You know where that chat is now. Go ahead and continue using that to ask us questions. We will get to your questions around the second half of our time together, so the last 15 minutes. So go ahead and put them in there. That way we're ready to chat with Farmer Jodi. Speaking of Farmer Jodi, I am pleased to introduce you to her. Hey, Farmer Jodi, how are you doing today?
We're doing great today. We have some weather going on, but otherwise, yeah, we're great. So
Yeah,
we're getting some much needed rain and moisture. So we'll count that good.
awesome. Well, we're so excited to be here with you, Farmer Jodi. And I know we'll get to the girls in a minute, but I can see they're hanging out with you too in the background. So, Farmer Jodi, we'd love to just get to know you a little bit more. So, tell us a little bit about who you are, your role on the farm, and maybe some history about the farm.
All right, so I am Jodi Cast, or Farmer Jodi. My husband Jason and our 6 kids work on this farm. Our oldest son is 18, and we have quadruplets that are 16, and then we have Henry, who is 8.
Wow.
Every one of the kids has a role on the farm. Garrett has another job as he's graduated, but he still comes home after that and he helps us feed and blade and do other outside jobs. We have Olivia takes care of the calves. So when Jade and Ruby were first born, Olivia was their caregiver. She made sure they were
Oh.
fed and well taken care of, and made sure they were eating and that they were strong and healthy. Alex and Ben, they are excellent milkers and they're in the barn a lot of the time, but they also do a lot of the outside work too. So they kind of have dual roles. Grant is in public school, so he is in school a lot of the time. But when he is home, he's helping out in the barn. He's helping fix things. He's really good with his hands. And then Henry, Henry helps sometimes, but but
He's
sometimes
your
he
youngest,
doesn't.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he's 8, so he maybe doesn't move as fast or as and knows what's going on as much as the older kids. So they kind of say, we'll just do it ourselves. Um, but Henry wants to be a gamer or a YouTuber, so he's he's in his own little world there. So, but yeah, we all take part in the dairy and the farm life, and we love it and couldn't imagine anything else.
Oh, I love that. Now, when did your farm first begin? Can you remind us of the history a little bit?
So my husband is third generation. So I don't know how many years a generation is, but so my father-in-law, was here milking cows when we got married. Um, we were about half Holsteins, half Jerseys. When Jason and I took over, we kind of phased out the Holsteins and went to all Jerseys.
Hmm.
Um, and then when we had 6 kids, Jason's grand plan was if we have 6 different breeds and each child has their own breed, then there'll be no fighting, when we show at the fairs and things like that,
Uh-huh.
which sounds really good. It's a great idea, but that does not happen because there's always the fight over mine had a heifer calf, yours had a bull, mine's milking more than yours is so, mine beat your cow at the fair and the show. Yeah,
It's
it
still
doesn't,
typical
it doesn't,
sibling rivalry,
yes.
right?
There is still a lot of competition between them. So
But hey, you got a chance to have all of the breeds on your farm now, which is pretty cool.
we
Can you
do.
remind everybody that's listening today what the different what the main dairy breeds are that you have on your farm?
So the main breed in the world or in the States,
Hmm.
whatever, is probably the Holstein. Those are the black and whites.
Hmm.
And then probably the second most common is the Jersey, which is what we have the most of, the cute little brown ones. And then there's the milking shorthorn, which is what Ruby is. There's Ayrshires and Brown Swiss and Guernsey. And am I missing anybody? Was that
Holsteins
6?
can be red and white, so I think
Red
those
and
would
white.
be
Yes.
counted as a
Okay.
mixed breed. Hmm.
Yes. We also, Olivia got the idea that if you've ever driven by a field and maybe you saw those cows that look like an Oreo cookie,
Oh
they're
yeah.
black on the ends and then they're white in the middle.
Hmm.
Um, they do have a milking breed of that cow. So we have
Oh.
a few we call them Oreos, but I believe the technical term is a Dutch belt. So we have
Uh-huh.
a few of those that we don't know what we're going to do with, but they're cute. So
Hey, they're
we're
cute,
milking if
right? And they're
we're
producing milk, so they can be part of the
yes.
herd.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, we do have a few of those on the farm also.
I love that. Oh, that sounds really cool. I know we had some folks asking, some people that had submitted questions in advance, curious about what other breeds you had on your dairy. So thank you for reviewing that. I appreciate it. Um,
Yes.
and so we had a question come in. Well, I know Miss Ruby decided to step out of the frame here
Oh,
on us, but
she's
but it's okay. They were just curious. Out of the two of them, which one is the bigger calf? And maybe this can dive us into just getting an update in general on both of them.
well, typically a shorthorn would be a little bit bigger because they do have that beef um offshoot of them. So
Mhm.
there's a shorthorn beef breed. So the shorthorn would be bigger. These two are actually about the same size. There's very little difference in their height and weight. Um, so yeah, typically the
Hmm.
shorthorn would be bigger, and Jerseys are known for being a smaller animal just all around. So
Okay. Okay. So right now, the last numbers we had gotten for Ruby from our 6 month update, we had shared with them
yes,
that was 225 pounds and 38
yes.
inches. So how much do you think she grew since then?
So I'm gonna get my cheat sheets here, and
Perfect.
Ruby had grown about an inch,
Awesome.
and
So
then
about 39.
she had gained about 40 pounds
Wow.
roughly.
So anyone that's charting it, Ruby then would be about 39 inches now, and 40
Yes,
more pounds would be 265 pounds. And
yes,
they're about 7.5 months, 8 months old around that time. Am I
yes,
okay?
yes.
I think about 8 months old. Awesome. Oh my goodness. So we can chart that new measurement for Miss Ruby.
Right.
And then what about Jade? What do you think she gained since
Jade,
our 6 months?
Jade also grew about an inch
Okay.
and she
So
gained about 50 pounds.
okay. So as she grew about an inch, we had noon at her 6 month update. She was 37 inches. So she's about
Yes.
38 inches now. And
Yes.
she was 200 pounds the last update. So we're thinking close to 250.
About
So you're
250.
right. They are
Yes.
almost identical in size.
Yes.
Jade caught up
Yep.
there. She put on a couple more pounds,
Right.
and is doing really good, growing really fast.
Well,
They
and
will.
they're growing. They've switched. So when they're in the younger pens inside the yard here,
Mhm,
um, they're on typically just a grain mix and then hay.
mhm.
But when they get moved out to the west lots, which are bigger lots with more calves, they get put on the TMR. So
Yeah,
their
gotcha.
feed their feed changes a little bit. We also keep them on that grain mix just to keep them growing.
Hmm.
So that can be accounted for, they really like their TMR. So
Gotcha,
so
gotcha. So
they've gained, yeah.
right, she's gaining some more. Now, speaking of that
Yes.
TMR, Farmer Jody, do you mind just sharing what TMR means and or what it is and what's in it?
Okay. So TMR is just short for total.
Oh, hey Jody, I think you just got muted somehow. There you go.
Are you back on?
Yep,
Okay.
go for it.
Um, so a TMR is a total mixed ration, and that just means that we mix everything together like a
Mhm.
big casserole. It's in our big mixer wagon,
Gotcha.
and that's what gets run out to them in their feed bunks. It's a combination of ground corn and there's a heifer supplement, which is like their vitamin mix,
Hmm.
and then there's hay ground up in there. There's a little bit of straw in there, and some corn silage, and it's just all mixed up together, and that's what they like to eat.
Okay, so it's a nice mixture of everything to make sure they're getting all of the good stuff, whether they necessarily
Nice.
like eating it or it's the really good stuff like that sweet green and things like that. You got to mix it all
Yes.
together, just like us humans, right? I would probably push the
Yes.
broccoli to the side, but I know I need to eat it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
got to make sure they're getting the good stuff. So they're eating
Yes.
TMR right now.
Yes.
How much do you think they're eating a day, like in pounds?
Oh,
Like 10
you,
pounds? I don't know.
I, I, I don't know because I don't. Garrett just runs it out, so
Gotcha.
he just fills the bunk. Um, they're not really limited to what they can eat because it's always in the bunk.
Okay.
Um, so they can, more or less just eat all day long if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like when they're in the inside pens, they are limited to, excuse me, they get, this many buckets. They're allotted like I think it's 5 pounds of grain.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
allotted that much. But when they're out there, they pretty much
They can eat how I think you got muted again. But yeah, they can eat pretty much however much they want. It's kind of like a buffet then for them that they can just keep on eating or go and hang out with their friends or go and sleep. But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
very cool. Very cool. And Miss Mansberg was just curious, how often do you take fresh feed out to them to the bunks?
So they get fed every day. They get fresh feed.
Gotcha.
And whether sometimes it might be twice a day. It just depends on how much they eat and how much they clean
Okay,
up in the bunk.
gotcha.
Um, we don't want that feed to sit there and get bad or rotten or
Sure.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when and we don't overfeed them,
Mm-hmm.
that it will allow to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
we feed them what we pretty much know they're going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that way we know.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. We had so actually just to focus back on them real quick. So we know their heights, we know their weights, we know they're eating TMR. I would assume they're drinking lots of water right now too, right? Is that the
Yes,
other thing that they're
yes,
eating and drinking?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So drinking lots of water. Now you had mentioned that they sometimes eat different amounts. What would cause them to eat different amounts? Would weather be contribution to that, or what are
Oh,
some things that would change things?
yes. Weather is a big factor. Um, our animals are all outside, so if it's raining like it is really raining right now,
Oh,
um, uh, nobody wants to be outside and eating in the rain. So if
sure.
it's raining, or if it's really cold and snowy, or
Hmm. Hmm.
things like that, they don't want to be out there eating. So they'll stay inside their buildings. And the same with when it's hot, really hot or sunny.
Hmm.
Um, Nobody wants to be out there. So, you know, the perfect temperature is, what we might think is cold, but 30 degrees, 32 up to 60 or 70, that's good weather for them. So
Gotcha.
we're
We like
getting
a
a
little
lot
bit.
of rain and hail right now. So
Oh boy. Well, we're glad we're in a barn.
yes. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Farmer Jody, while we hang out with these guys in the barn, are we able to maybe focus the camera on them while we are answering some questions? They like to just come up behind the camera. They're
Well,
curious about the
and
rain too.
they're looking outside too at the rain that's pouring down. So,
They're getting
yeah.
curious. Oh my gosh. Well, so this is a great example. I know sometimes we've got a lot of questions of how do you protect them from the elements, especially I know where you live, it can get very, very, very cold. So what do you do as a farmer to help keep them warm or keep them cool in the summer months?
So when it's cold, like this winter was really cold, we give them fresh bedding. We bed with corn stalks. So they've got nice dry, because cows and calves, they don't really care where they go to the bathroom.
Hmm.
So um, for them to have, clean, dry bedding is really important.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we would bed them, and of course they're in a shed, so that
Hmm.
helps protect them from the elements quite a bit.
Sure, sure. And
In
then
the
as we
summer,
just go ahead.
in the summertime, making sure that they have clean, dry space to lay down, and
Hmm.
again, those sheds will help protect them from the sun also, so that
Sure.
helps.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. That makes sense. And as you already mentioned, cows like it colder to begin with. So,
Right.
and I'm sure they're like any other animal that when it gets cold, their hair probably thickens up and they probably get a winter coat and
Right.
their body naturally is prepared for the winter. So, they're not like
Yes.
us, but we need to put jackets on, but their hair
Yeah.
is natural and it fills in for
Yes.
them. So,
And they're kind of in that process of um, losing that winter hair, so they kind of look a little shaggy.
mhm.
But um, yeah, that's what they do.
They're very curious about the rain happening right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of drops going on out there.
I'm glad we're safe in the
I don't
barn.
know. I don't know if you can hear any of it through the microphone, but yeah, it's
Very little. So good. It's a good
oh,
microphone. We're just very
that is
barely. So.
good. I can see the hail coming down too. So
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's see. So we had, oh, there was a question from Miss Amber. They were just curious when they turn 1, do you celebrate their birthdays or anything like that?
Um, Not really. I mean, they don't really know it's their birthday, and we, we have a lot of animals to take care of on the farm. So,
Mhm.
if we celebrated every birthday, we'd be having a party all the time. So,
Every day. Yeah. So you as a farmer, right? You just make sure you are giving them like a clean place to live all the time,
right.
the best
Yeah.
food all the time, and that's like having, I mean, everything is done for them. That's pretty much a birthday
Yes.
party every day.
Yes. They totally depend on us. So, we have to take care of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. We have another question that came in. Oh, this is a good question from Mrs. Reichert. She was wondering, how do you know when a dairy cow needs to be milked?
Um, well, um, we milk every 12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
twice a day. Some dairies will milk three. For a while, we were milking 3 times a day. Um, and some dairies do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, twice a day seems to be about that 12 hours
Mm-hmm.
is the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So cows kind of just they know, right? They get in a routine. They're definitely creatures
Right.
of habit. And
They are
they,
definitely.
yeah, and their udder just starts to get relatively full and they know that you
Yep.
guys are going to be bringing them into the parlor soon. I'm sure they probably start lining up for you or start heading towards the parlor and
They they know when they hear certain sounds, like
Mm-hmm.
like we have chains and gates,
Mm-hmm.
that we have to open or close.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they know when they hear those sounds, they will stand at, a certain gate, like, okay, now it's my turn, and
Oh,
they're ready to run into the barn. So yeah,
right.
they know what they're doing, and it doesn't take
Oh,
them long.
right. And if they know what they're doing and they're getting excited to go line up for it, it must be a relaxing experience. Farmer Jody, can you talk a little bit about what that milking experience is like for them?
For them, um, so like we call it the vacuum pump.
Hmm.
That's what milks them. Um, we tried to, or the makers of them tried to make that suction as close to a calf as possible, so it doesn't
Mm,
hurt them at all. Um, it's just that gentle pulsation of what a calf would feel like if they were nursing off of them. So it
interesting.
is it is relaxing. If a cow is not relaxed, I mean, it'll be tense, so
Hmm.
it may not let her milk down.
Hmm.
So you want your animals to be calm and relaxed. That way
Hmm.
they let their milk down, and it's a nice, easy, gentle process.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're making sure you're providing a very relaxed environment for them. Now, how long is that
Yes,
process for the cow from the time she walks into the parlor from till the time, or like walks into her spot to be milked until she's released from the
right.
spot to be milked? How long is that for a cow?
Um, probably around 15 or 20 minutes, depending on what else is going on inside the barn at that time.
Hmm.
Um, but roughly, 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes from
Wow.
the
And
time
I'm
she
pretty.
walks in, and we dip them and strip them and wipe them and,
Hmm.
and do all that.
Hmm. Yeah. So right, and that's including all of the prep time. That's not the amount of time the
Yes,
milker is on. The milker is only
right.
on for three,
A,
five
a
minutes,
few
maybe.
minutes. Yep,
Hmm.
a few
Yeah.
minutes.
So it's a they get to hang out. It's almost like a spa treatment for them, maybe, right? They get to come in, they get to get
They,
a little massage, they get to be,
yes,
the tension is released a little bit, and then off they go. And
yes,
and
yes,
it's a nice relaxing experience for them. And then we're
yes.
getting that delicious milk. Now, when will our two adopted calves start producing milk? That was a question we had from Miss Balmer, I think. Yes, from Miss Balmer.
Okay. So we'll start watching for the signs that they need to be bred, and that'll be typically around a year of age, so around 12 months,
Okay.
is when we'll watch for that. And then as soon as they get bred, and then they have a calf, 9 months later, that is when they will enter the milk line, and they'll be producing that delicious milk.
Wow. So they'll be about 2 years old, maybe a month or two
Yeah.
under, but about 2 years
Oh,
old when they
yes.
have their first calf, and so they have to have a calf before they can produce milk. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Gotcha. So they'll have their first calf. Let's see. So they'll be a year old in September. So maybe
Yes.
around September next year, they'll have their first
Yes.
calf. Um,
Yes.
and that calf will get to live the exact same way they did. They'll be well taken care of by your kiddos and the hutches
Yes.
and get lots of love and attention. And then the cycle repeats itself, and they will join the milking herd
Yes.
with all the other cows.
That's correct.
Oh, very cool. Now, so they're going to produce milk and they'll join the milking herd. Now, they're two different breeds. Will their milk be different at all, or is milk milk no matter what breed?
Milk is different with each breed. Uh, so Holsteins produce a lot of milk. They have a great volume of milk. But when you look at their components, or like their butter fat or their solids, they're a lot less than what a Jersey is. A Jersey does not have the volume that a Holstein would have, but her butter fat and her solids um, are a lot higher than what a Holstein is. A Holstein might have a number of like in the fours, a 4.5 maybe,
Okay.
um, whereas a Jersey could be a 5.5, or some could even be higher than that. So the milk it's creamier and thicker, and that those solids that are in the milk are
Mm-hmm.
what you get your ice cream and cheese and your butter from. So they're
Ah,
valuable.
Gotcha. Okay. So to help understand a little bit more, so those component percentages, it just means if it's a higher percentage, it might be used, those pieces might be used differently to make different dairy products. But it's not like
Right.
one's producing chocolate milk and one's producing strawberry milk. It's all still
No,
white milk.
It's
It's just
it's
maybe
all very white when it comes out. Yes.
right, right. But it's just all maybe slightly different components, which is used to make other
Right.
delicious products.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense. Let's see. Well, this is a good question. We were curious. We've been talking about that milking process. What happens to the milk after you guys are done milking? Where does it go? And do you happen to know any brand names or any processors or anything that it goes to?
So yeah, I do. So the milking process, milk is a really cool product. It
There you go.
never, we don't mess with it at all. It goes
Hmm.
straight from the cow to the milker and, through a hose and a pipeline and
Hmm.
into our tank where it gets cooled. And from there, it goes from a hose into another big tanker that takes it down the highway.
Hmm.
Our milk typically goes to the Highland plant in Omaha, and that's
Hmm.
where it gets processed and bottled and then shipped out to your stores.
Hmm.
Now
Interesting.
so the name brand of our milk would be Highland,
Okay.
um, but there are other brands, store brands maybe that are processed there as well. There's a really cool feature on your gallons of milk or any dairy product where it should have a plant code on it, and you can look up that plant code and you'll see exactly where your milk was processed at. So that's pretty cool.
That is really cool. You can almost track your milk and see where it was
Yes,
processed from.
you can.
Very cool. Farmer Jody, we've loved getting a chance to answer some questions here. I did just want to ask one more question for anyone that was just curious. Right now, we are in a barn, obviously, with our two adopted calves. Now, is this where they
Yes.
normally are, or do they live currently somewhere else?
Normally they are out in some bigger lots and they have a lot more calves around them that are their
Mhm.
age. Um, so yeah, normally that's where they are. Um, they have a shed out there and they have a big long bunk and they have their own water fountain and
Gotcha.
so
Something
that's
must
where
have
they
gotten
are.
their attention. They both turned around at the same time and turned their head around.
One of my kids walked in and tried to tell me something, but I don't know what he said. So
That's what they were looking at.
I
They
know.
know your kids
Oh,
pretty well.
okay. So he did just inform me that we are in a tornado warning and there's funnel clouds. So
Oh goodness. Okay.
yeah.
Well then we're gonna
So
probably it's time to start wrapping it up anyway. So
okay.
thank you, Farmer Jody. Um
Yeah.
it's just if you get the chance, just do you have anything else you want to share with anybody and just anything before we wrap up for today?
Um, I do want to say when you read through some of those schools that were joining us, I
Hmm.
do want to say, we're in Beaver Crossing. So,
Ah,
Shelby and Columbus, they are not too far away from us. And then when you
oh
mentioned
nice.
Pleasanton, oh my goodness, Pleasanton. I'm originally from Amherst. So,
Oh nice.
Pleasanton and Amherst kind of had that high school rivalry thing going. So,
Oh, gotcha.
so it's good, I'm past that now. But it's good to hear from people, that are from back home and from current home. So that's really
Yes.
cool to hear those schools.
Oh, awesome. Yes, thank you so much everybody for joining us today. We've loved having you. We're actually right on time. We're right at that time to wrap it up anyway. So Farmer Jody, thank you so much for your time with us today. We've really appreciated it and we've loved getting to follow your calves this year. They are absolutely adorable and we've really enjoyed it. So thank you for being an amazing host farm and letting us get to know them a little bit. And thank you all for joining the program. We've loved having you. We look forward to hopefully having you again next year. Registration will open on May 1st, so mark your calendars and you can rejoin the program. We'll have some returning farms, some new farms, and of course, new calves to follow. So we're excited to have you. Thank you again, all, and thank you, Jody. I will see you all next year. Take care. Bye bye.